Which is camera one. That's camera one.
That's camera one?
Yeah.
Which one?
The one right in front of us, where the light, is.
What light?
The light that's on.
It's a whole lot of lights on.
The little Christmas tree looking motherfucker.
Oh, oops. Why did you say that?
Because we've
Say
been
the Christmas
we
light.
filmed-
It's the light on. It's like 8 different lights up in here.
You think it's that light?
Just say a Christmas light. What kind of light, Hope? A lot of lights in here.
We've only been coming here for a year. You know what he does with lights.
I do?
Yeah. Well,
What kind of light?
well, this is Watch Hard. I'm Ryan O.
We're having such a great start. I'm Bobby Z. That took way too long for me to get to. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was confused by the lights. Clearly.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Well, I want to do all horror movies, but then I got yelled at.
Help me. I'm lost. I don't know where I am.
I know. So what are we talking about today?
Oh, yeah, we can lean into the horror movies. There's a couple of comedies that we have been kind of really going over and watching over the last couple of years. It's been a minute. It's been like, what, about a month?
Since what? We've been here?
Since we last filmed?
Yeah.
There's been some things we done watched. But we are getting into the Halloween season. So yeah, we can lean into the horror. Absolutely.
Well, by the time this gets posted, it'll be October 1st.
Absolutely.
It was the 26th today?
Yeah, I'll probably end up posting it on Friday.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So it starts it off with a bang.
Absolutely. Yes!
Whoa.
Open it. Sorry. Sorry, the audience. My bad. Y'all know I get a little excited. But no, yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll lean into that for like the meat. But let's kind of start off with what's going on with a little bit of what we've been doing with television.
Okay.
Okay. I really wish we had gotten to that Game of Thrones episode last night. The time jump, because it's all everybody is talking about. I still don't understand why it's completely necessary. If there was going to be a time jump, that should have been after the first episode. We've already gotten very familiar with these characters and with these actors at this point. So it seems a little bit superfluous, but I mean, we haven't watched it yet, so I don't completely know how it's handled.
Well, remember, where the book is based off Fire and Blood isn't like a traditional novel like Game of Thrones.
Absolutely.
Or the series.
It's his Silmarillion, right?
Again, it's
just like a catalog.
Well, it's written like a history book.
Yeah, like a history. Exactly.
It's written by like a maester. Like he's a fake maester writes basically the history of the Targaryen line. So it kind of jumps around.
Oh, okay.
And there's like things like, oh, we think this happened. Or people believe this.
Oh, okay.
So there's questions like, oh, how much of it's real? Yeah. Unlike the Game of Thrones.
One of those things where people like Tyrion Lannister won't be mentioned, even though he did like everything.
Yeah, that really confused me at the end of that. We've talked about that.
That shit was very confusing. But at the end of the day, that is a lot how history books do, you know.
But they would still mention him.
Yeah, they would have been
even if they only mentioned him as a monster.
Yeah,
they'd still mention him
Yeah,
because his hand was in too much of the cookie jar.
Well, you know.
Who killed Joffrey then? Did they say the king just died?
No. Absolutely. But, you know, Crispus Attucks was like one of the first martyrs of the revolution. And most people do not know who that is. He has no mention in any history books. You know, but Dred Scott gets at least a whole paragraph. Crispus Attucks gets nothing. So I can see,
but that'd be like, but see, the difference is there. Is that was one event. So if Tyrion did one event, I could see how it got glossed over.
Yeah.
But he was in every fucking event.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. Here's what's interesting. Had this been an actual British series, yes, I think that would have been more like probably in line because they just teach history better. But I think there was something in there where they were just kind of poking fun at
don't you fucking give them that much credit. Don't you give D&D that credit.
I'm not giving them that
They
much.
thought they wrote it as a shitty one-off joke.
I'm not giving them that much credit. What I'm saying is there is that a reoccurring joke in American history that we do leave a lot of principal shit out and a lot of key players who have done shit.
Yeah, no, that was just a shitty one-off joke.
That was also the joke in Heavyweights because the little fat boy who came over from Britain, he got to win the whole fucking challenge when they came up on U.S. history, and he's like, "Oh my God, you Americans don't know shit about your history." And it was funny. We all laughed at it, but it's pretty true.
But don't give that credit to D&B. Do not give them that much credit.
Oh no, I'm not giving that to them.
So it wasn't a snarky criticism of American history books.
No, but it was
a shitty one-off joke that didn't land.
It was a shitty joke. It didn't make any fucking sense, but it does make you at least kind of think about how we handled that situation.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought when I was raging about the show. I thought, oh, man, What a stark
No,
criticism of American history.
You know you can dissect the goddamn shit that happened and apply it differently in different areas. At least with that, as far as that's concerned. In that one sequence and situation. I get it. That shit was very American. I've talked many times about the things where, like, because you know me, I love watching British cinema. And just kind of the different ways that they handle things historically, the different ways that they handle things in terms of storytelling. You know, I've said, look, if Harry Potter was true to his British roots, Harry Potter asses would have died. They used to have no problem with that. But, you know, in American culture, we're all about like, oh, yeah, come together, be happy. We kind of gloss over like a lot of like shit. We do. Shit. We still romanticize a lot of shit that happened in the goddamn Civil War. Look at that. What's that movie? Is it Cold Mountain?
Cold Mountain,
No.
Gettysburg, Gods and Generals, Glory.
No. What's the one with Jude Law?
Is that Cold Mountain?
Is that Cold
With
Mountain?
Nicole Kidman?
With Nicole Kidman?
Cold Mountain.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like the way we tell this like romanticized version of a Southern story, you know, like that's just kind of what we
The
do
best
here in
Civil War
America.
movie is Gettysburg. That's the best one. Not even close. It's Gettysburg and all the rest.
Yeah, Gettysburg is pretty good. It's pretty good.
I never saw Gods and Generals, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't need to.
Okay. You know what? Not for nothing. Everybody always talks about Braveheart. Braveheart is terrible.
Yeah.
You can clearly tell they gave Mel absolutely no fucking budget. But The Patriot is actually one of the best movies I've seen about the American
Braveheart's
Revolution.
his directorial debut, and it shows.
It 100%
And I'm not even a guy that shows like who get criticized like production quality.
Yeah.
The sets look like shit.
They do.
The costumes look like shit.
They do.
The camera shots look like shit.
They do.
The sound isn't great.
No, it's not.
I was watching. I was
The
like,
costumes look horrible.
Yeah.
The costumes look horrible. It looks like something that like a senior play put on.
and I often wonder how that won Best Picture.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of just do have to. I mean, the storytelling is great. It's well written.
I mean, yeah,
It has a great script.
Yeah, and so I mean,
some of the scenes are cool.
and
it's just so goddamn cheap.
Based on a true story.
Very loosely. Very
Very
loosely.
That's why I did my quotes.
Like an Everett the Longshanks.
But dude,
I was gonna say, but no. Just converse, like, and that is one thing I will say that's interesting. There have been certain movies I think that have shed light a little bit more on American history that the actual history books have done.
Yeah, like American History X.
Yeah, like American History X. What? It told the fucking truth. Everybody thinks that California is so goddamn blue and liberal. Yes, we have had those issues very much here in places like Long Beach, Venice Beach, you know, the skater skinheads that are down in fucking Huntington and Redondo. Yeah, it told the truth about a culture, you know, as opposed to glossing it over and making it seem like, because that's very American. We make this seems like this, this is this, that is that. And one thing I will say is, it's very interesting to see Braveheart get so much praise when in fact, the Patriot is a much better fucking movie. It's like Mel Gibson does some great shit there, but he's Australian. You know,
yes, he is.
Other countries don't have as much of a hard time dealing with their history and being like a little bit more forward about it. There's a lot of stuff that they still gloss over, but not to the extent that we do. Oh. If we're comparing America, like our history is definitely more the Fox News.
Are you kidding? We're way better than Japan.
Oh, I didn't say Japan.
Japan pretends half.
I was thinking particularly more like along the lines of like Germany or. You know.
Oh, no, Germany's very open about what they did.
Yeah, very open.
Japan tries to pretend that shit didn't happen.
Yeah, correct.
I won't bring up the book because it's just depressing. But if you ever really want to, there's some interesting books about what Japan did during World War II.
Oh yeah, that Nagasaki book.
Oh, not Nagasaki. Yeah. We did Nagasaki.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah,
Nanking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Nanking.
I was like, we did Nagasaki.
Oh yeah, all them people jumping off that cliff, honey, because they saw the Japanese coming. They was like, nope. We know what y'all do.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I was like, the Nagasaki book.
Oh, no. I just remember just how graphic it was. And, like, that was another one, like, you know, parents were complaining. I was looking at a lot of the parents.
No, we didn't. No parents complained about that book because no kids read that book.
The one about Nagasaki?
No, Nanking.
Oh. Yeah.
You know, we didn't read that book.
Yeah, that part.
Trust me. It's not a fictional book. It's just a history book full of...
A lot of the books that we used to read like are on the ban list. I didn't know Catcher in the Rye was no longer acceptable.
We just talked about this. Flowers for Algernon.
Yeah. We did talk about this, but I didn't know Catcher in the Rye was on there.
Yeah, they ban shit all the time.
God damn it.
Yeah, they ban shit all the time.
Absolutely. I was so excited. I will always and forever be mad about the shit that Disney did because I know those rights were coming up. We could have had that fucking Catcher in the Rye movie. Like, I was ready for it. And no, thanks, Disney.
Hell, it may come back. But here's the kicker. Speaking of bans, you know what get banned a lot?
What?
Horror movies.
Yeah, we did kind of go off in a little bit of tangent.
Yep, that's why I'm bringing it back. I'm reeling it in because that was wildly off topic.
That was wildly off topic.
I'm going to reel it in. Like Britain had this thing called the video nasties, which were during like a lot of the exploitation films. So they got on the banned list.
Okay.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay.
The Town That Dreaded Sundown, I think, was part of it.
Okay.
The Burning? Is that what it's called? Something like that.
Okay. But long story short, like, I understood why that joke was there. I'm not saying that it was a good joke.
You son of a bitch.
Stop trying to mansplain to me, okay? I understand writing.
You're the one who explained it to me.
Yeah, because you were like, do not give D&D that fucking... Which I still like DB squared better. You say D&D, that's going to confuse some people.
I think I said D&B. I got confused. I combined the
I
two.
thought you said D&D.
DB squared. I don't know. Those jabber.
No, I ain't making excuses for them raggedy motherfuckers. You know, the only reason why I'm watching House of the Dragons is because they have nothing to do with it. Which definitely, it has its problems.
It does.
There's a lot of good there. You know, we kind of talked about this in the... a lot of the issues that I have with the diversity quotas in casting, it's like where you just kind of just like put somebody of color in there, but it doesn't make sense for the role.
Yeah.
And I think with this one, it was kind of more of like, okay, well, here's Corlys of House Valerian, and he's the head of the house, and, you know, they're Black Valerians, which makes sense because Valyria is a little bit closer to the Southern Isles, so they're gonna have some African Americans or something. Well, not African.
I was like, I don't think they're African Americans.
Yeah, they're gonna have some black people.
I was like, what?
But it just kept confusing me because for the majority of the episodes, it was literally just like him and the two kids and like the brother.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
just
it.
like, wait a minute. Why is it only one and he's the head of the house? I'm gonna need to see infinitely more people of color for their house. It doesn't make like any sense.
And you know, my biggest beef with the casting is, what's that guy's name? I always forget it, who plays Corlys. He's an excellent actor.
He's a great actor, isn't he?
But all the parents in the show,
they're way too old.
They're way too old.
They're way too old. I'm like, damn, we ain't gonna have
They
these
all look
kids
like grandparents.
50-something?
And I'm not
They
about,
do.
they're
They
all.
look like grandparents, 100%.
And
I'm like,
like,
okay, so where are the parents?
Look
though?
at like Patty and Matt Smith are supposed to be brothers.
Yeah,
They look like 20-year age gap between those two.
Grandpa was having kids late. That's all I'm saying.
They're born pretty close to each other in the timeline.
Is this also a Targaryen thing? Do they wait till like years and years to have their children?
Well, no, because like Jaehaerys has like 12 kids.
Oh, okay.
With Alicent, she's just spitting out kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess we've really been getting into some shit.
No, this happened before.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 kings removed from Jaehaerys.
Yeah, but you just said Alicent has like 12. Alicent gonna have 12 kids on the show?
Not Alicent. Alicent. Alyssne.
You know what? Let me tell you something, George R. R.
Targaryen.
Martin. You need to figure out some fucking name diversity.
No,
before
because that's what
anything
royal
the fuck
families
else.
do.
No, yeah, it is what they fucking do. But for the sense and purposes of our cinematic pleasure, it'd be kind of confusing if I'm watching The Crown and it's 3 bitches named Elizabeth.
I mean, it happens.
Okay, which one are you talking about?
The third one, they number them. That's why they number them. That's why they number them.
No. Because in The Crown, they do not take on their names until they actually get their position.
And they also get titles in Game of Thrones, like
Yes,
Aegon
true.
the Conqueror, Aegon the Uncrowned, Aegon the Unworthy.
The queen.
There's
that
more
never
Aegons.
was.
Yeah, see, they all get little titles to go
What
with
was
it.
her name? Rhaenys?
Yes. Because there's Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, Rhaena. Was she Rhaena? I always call her the queen that never was.
I'm going to laugh my ass off if it's a Rhaenys Targaryen.
Rhaenys?
Yeah.
I think there is. There's Rhaenys. Rhaenys in Visenya.
Mm-hmm. You remember my friend Rhaenys I was telling y'all about?
No.
That was like back in freshman year.
No. That was 20 years ago.
It sound like Britney. You don't remember that shit?
Maybe.
Anyways, but no, yeah. It's got a lot of work. I appreciate a lot of the storytelling they do, and just kind of once again getting on the diversity quota shit. It's the representation, but it's also how you handle the representation. So Corliss's son is gay, and of course, once again, they still have him kind of doing like the kind of twinkie
Soft.
thing that we
He's
already,
soft.
exactly. He's soft, and we got that same kind of perspective. Which now that I'm reading the books, and I'm just like, what's his name, Brother Baratheon? Renly. Thank you.
Well, you figured it out.
I told you my brain don't work no more. Them lights confused me.
Look at that.
I was blinded by the lights in my brain.
You know who wrote that song?
Oh.
Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, anyways, it is kind of one of the things that upset me about the book is because anytime you see queer characters, they always had, and that's kind of, they did the same. Hold up. No. I'm getting into some shit because they did the same thing with Robin's character in Stranger Things, where she started off as kind of like that character who was kind of, hey, you knuckleheads, let's kind of get this shit in line, blah, 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 everything that was going on with Steve and Dusty. But then this season, it was just all kind of like, oh yeah, I'm awkward, shy lesbian girl, like leaning into like that kind of stereotype of like the high school closeted like situation.
Yeah, because if they didn't, how would we ever know?
How would we ever know?
That's the thing. We just wouldn't know.
And
we'd never be able to figure it out
Renly in
through
the
characters'
book,
actions.
Yeah. Renly in the books, he's a Baratheon.
Yeah, he's big.
He's a Baratheon. He's big, he's strapping, he makes a lot of fucking jokes. He's always reading Joffrey for shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, why couldn't we have that character? It always has to be the, oh, let's save each other's chest hair, Twinkie WeHo bullshit every fucking time. It's like there's no diversity within the goddamn
Well, also,
quota.
in the books, too, it's only ever hinted at.
Exactly.
It's
hinted
it's
at.
whispers.
Yes, the whispers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Would, but he's strapping, he's charming, everybody likes him.
Exactly.
He's gorgeous. Everyone talks
The
about
most
how Renly is the
handsome.
handsomest fucking
Just
dude.
big and strapping and handsome.
And any maiden would just throw herself at him.
They should have had Liam Hemsworth doing that. I like the actor.
The way they casted the Baratheons.
The way they cast the Baratheons is so fucking off from how they are in the books. They're all tall and like big and strapped. Like even because so they do kind of describe, which is interesting because we talked about this. Robert really isn't in the book that much.
No.
It's kind of a glossed over, but they do talk about his stature, but also how unhealthy he looks.
Yeah.
And they did a good job of making Mark Addy, because Mark Addy is a handsome man, but they did a good job of making him look
but basically what he is, he's the guy that peaked in high school.
Exactly.
That's what Robert is.
Guy who
he was
peaked in
captain
high
of the
school.
football team.
100%.
He was prom king.
Exactly.
And then he replaced, exercise.
And then they made him the fucking mayor, and he was like, what?
Yeah, and he replaced exercise with booze.
Yeah.
And he got the beer belly.
And hoeing.
And he still was
Exactly.
back in the day.
Exactly.
I could do he's glory days.
But he's still like very, very much a man of size and stature. And I love you, Mark.
Well, yeah,
Addy,
because
but Mark Addy is not a tall
you don't
person.
shrink when you
Yeah.
oh
Exactly.
man, I'm losing my gains and you're shrinking 3 inches.
100%.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, that's the thing. If you're gonna have the representation, number one, make it make sense, and stop falling back on the goddamn caricature, especially for LGBTQ characters. We're not a monolith. There's diversity within our own culture. They're so goddamn addicted. The LGBTQ community. Sometimes we have too much. Look, just from Bear, there's like 20 different subcategories. But at least show like a different like perspective and not make it like, oh, yes, they're obviously gay because they're doing this frolicky shit. Like, no, they're like buff gay guys. There are gay guys who are very athletic. Stop trying to fit it into a goddamn stereotype and a caricature of what it means to be LGBTQ.
That's the one thing I'll say they have handled well with Corliss.
Yeah.
Is nobody treats him differently. Everyone's like, that's the fucking sea snake.
Exactly.
The
sea snake is the sea snake.
The sea snake is the sea snake.
Exactly. I like that actor. I like him in that role. And I know that they should have got somebody younger, but it really could have just been the Queen Who Never Was, who was a younger character. Because we know how men were back in that day. They already tried to have Jaehaerys marry.
Yeah, but Corliss isn't that old in the books. That's what I'm saying. They're all aged up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They've all, but Game of Thrones has been aging up since the start.
Yeah, that's
everybody's been about 10 years older than they were in the book.
That part.
Because Eddard Stark is 35 years old.
Yeah.
In the book.
Yeah.
I'm 34. Everyone's like, God damn, Eddard's old. 35. The kids, remember, Rob's 15.
Exactly.
They're all kids.
I was going to say, Jon is like 14.
No, Jon's like slightly older than Rob, or about the same age. Or
Jon Snow?
Yeah.
No, Jon's 14.
John's 14. Yeah,
Yeah,
Rob's
Jon's 14.
15.
Rob's
so
15.
slightly older. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, it's just his experiences on the wall and seeing how he handles that as a teenager. It blends together so much better in the book than it does in the series because like what they're doing at that age, it makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of the characters, a lot of the characters' actions are tailored to what their age in the book.
Exactly.
Because you're kind of like, why are they acting that way?
Yeah, you do kind of get a little sense of like, y'all too old to be on this bullshit.
You're like, oh wait, they're not.
Hold up.
They're not. Yeah.
Hold up. We had different phases in life, you know. But what I will say is, there's enough of the show that to kind of keep me intrigued and interested. I'm very curious about this time jump, even though I'm not sure how it's going to work. I think, like I said, if there was going to be a time jump, don't do it halfway in the season. That should have been after the first fucking episode.
Well, they wanted to establish the characters because a lot happens.
No, what they wanted to do was draw and like extend this question of is she going to get the crown or not for as many episodes possible. They're falling so much on that because right now that's the only political game they have in the series. Game of Thrones had so many different multi-layers of gameplay that was going on.
Well, as I said before, they're kind of up to making gameplay up as they go. Because there's none of that gameplay in the book, really.
Absolutely.
Because I told you, it's like a history book.
Once again, they're leaning in on this situation of what's going to happen with Rhaenyra. Is she actually going to get the crown? What's going to, blah, 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 blah. When, I'm sorry, this sounds a little bit weird to say, but at the end of the day, her marrying Daemon just makes the best sense. Why didn't we already have this? This could have been established several episodes ago. Why are we wasting our motherfucking time? Find us. I mean, and that's really just the kind of the situation. They've managed to make the world bigger in terms of like what they're doing, like for the sets and the design and, putting more money into that and the visual, everything. But the actual game that's going on feels very small.
Well, what's the time jump? I think
is Rhaenyra going to get the crown, or what is Viserys stressed out about today?
Well, let's wait for the time jump. Maybe it gets a little juicier now.
Hopefully, but we're already 5 episodes in?
That's only the halfway point.
Yeah, that's the halfway point.
I mean, Game of Thrones. All the famous episodes of Game of Thrones happened in episode 9.
You get no. You get at least a little bit of the setup of what's going on with everybody within the first 3 episodes. You understand what's going on with the Starks, because they're mad about what happened to Jon Arryn. You understand what the Lannisters are fucking doing because they're gripping their way for fucking power. You understand what's going on with Daenerys and Viserys over in not Essos. Well, yeah, Essos. Yeah, exactly. So you kind of get all the different multi-layers of like the 3 players. And what's great is the Starks end up on the throne. They're the only ones who really don't even want it. But there's so much intertangling and webbing for. I'm sorry, I know I'm going on for the actual political game. Whereas this one is only kind of leaning in a lot for the episode.
Well, as I've said before, because those had books written from characters' POVs.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of intrigue inside the works.
I should say because they're clearly going off a little bit of Queen Elizabeth I situation.
Okay, but
that involved a lot of different players. That involved a lot of different families. There are a lot of there are a lot of royal families who did not feel like the Tudor family should have been in line. Same that's going on with their branch of the Targaryens. So there's the historical drama there in order to amp up the series. It's just what they've chosen to lean on.
I feel like it'll branch out.
I hope so.
And always going to crescendo in episode 9 because that's always the crescendo episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but that's the wrap up.
No, it's not the wrap up.
No, I should say that's because we're getting close to the fucking season finale. And yeah, like it's like height and it's crescendo, but everything that was already everything that drops hard on the episode 9 was already set up in the first 3 episodes. We're halfway through and we still really don't know Daemon's motivation.
We don't need it. I mean, we didn't really know. We didn't know half the character's motivation.
Yes, we did. By episode 5, we're full on into what everybody's goal is at this point in Game of Thrones. We were already there. We were there at episode 3.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, once Ned actually gets to King's Landing, he's already given the information. Yeah, Jon Arryn was poisoned, blah, blah, blah. They're already coming into that setup. Daenerys has already been married and...
She's married in the first episode.
Yeah, exactly. And she's kind of starting to really see, my brother ain't gonna get us home. She has that conversation with Ser Jorah in the 3rd episode. That's what I'm saying. They're just taking a long time to really get to flesh out what's going on with some of the
But
other
I keep
characters
telling
and
you,
game
they
players
don't have
because they're
anything.
leaning- yeah,
But they don't have any inner monologues to work with. Like
they
did in-
do.
No, but I'm saying they don't. In the first season, there's all written from POV chapters
What did we talk about as to why those last 2 seasons were bullshit?
because they ran out of books.
No. I should say it wasn't that they ran out of fucking books.
Yeah,
it was because the show writers who they hired didn't understand what R.R. Martin was doing with the material. This is Shakespeare's War of the Roses combined with Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. That's what he put together for Game of Thrones. So if just because it's not written from him, you should at least know the source material so you can come back and say like, oh, okay, we may not have it directly from this one person, but we know what the influences were for this character. Like I said, this is very much playing out like the same shit that went on with Queen Elizabeth and how everybody challenged her fucking situation being on the throne. Because you know her older sister Mary was actually supposed to be on the throne. That's the queen who never was. You know, so they have the conflict, they have the content, they have everything there to go with. They're just leaning on this one aspect of the story. And I'm sorry, but at 5 episodes in, we should see other things coming into the political game cycle.
Not much in the
especially
in Fire and Blood.
Especially since it's been over the span of 2 years.
Well, in Fire and Blood, most of it is just about succession. That's all it is.
Yeah, but that makes sense for Fire
There's
and
not.
Blood.
Remember, we're in the height of the Targaryen Empire.
But they can use more than Fire than Blood to tell the story. They know what the story is.
But we're in the height of the Targaryen Empire. There's not much drama outside who's going to be on this fucking throne.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of drama.
No, I'm saying like the realm's in pretty much peacetime. They're not at war.
Okay.
They're not. The war's about to start because we're going to get to the dance.
When war's not happening is when politics is the most ravenous. They got to fight something.
Well, they're going to
Peacetime is when politicians really be at each other's throat. Because now they have to find and manufacture a problem to get people on their side.
Well, not really, because Jaehaerys, he ran the smoothest empire ever lived. There was very little problems during Jaehaerys'
Well,
rule.
probably because he had a better hand.
He had a good hand, except in Barth, I believe.
We'll watch the new episode today. Though.
Well, no,
We'll
Jaehaerys
see
was just a
where
great
the-
king.
Yeah.
He was a great fighter. He knew people. He had his problems
I
like
mean,
all
hey,
kings.
strong leadership.
But he was kind of like the Caesar. He builds the roads. He
Yeah.
builds the King's Road.
Okay.
He's the one. Yeah, Jaehaerys does a lot of good shit.
Okay.
But he's dead already, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, 100%.
But okay, can we talk about goddamn movies now?
Okay. Yes. Well, I mean, shit. House of the Dragon counts.
It's a show.
Yeah, that's true. we review shows too. Yeah. Let's talk about the Goldbergs. Yes, okay. We can lean into the meat now.
But we're half an hour in. That's what
I
I'm
was gonna say,
saying.
I know we about half an hour in. I just want to say we have watched a couple of comedies once. You enjoy Sideways, right?
Of course, Andrew Cyrus was a good chat.
Exactly. We'll get to an episode where we kind of talk a little bit more about that. Let's watch Election so we can lean into Alexander Payne.
We'll do that.
I would love to do that.
But
because I'm a fan of his, and I love Nebraska. You showed me Nebraska. I've seen before that. I had only seen Sideways, The Descendants, and Downsizing. I still need to see Election, but
Was Downsizing the one where they shrink?
yeah, with
I never
Matt
saw
Damon.
that. Yeah, I never saw that. But we got 30 minutes. We
Oh yeah, we go. I was gonna say we can bust it to there.
okay. So we
Yeah.
watch. How many? horror
Unless you want to bring up the Brady Bunch.
Nope.
Okay.
Why?
Because I like the Brady Bunch, and I wanted to talk about how, unbeknownst to me, that Greg Brady became my biggest crush in the 90s, and I didn't even know it. What's my favorite Disney movie? What's my favorite Disney movie? I talk about it all the goddamn time.
Well, the best movie's The Lion King. But it's
I was
not
going to
that.
say Christopher Greg Barnes, but it's Christopher Daniel Barnes.
Because Greg's
I didn't say what's the greatest Disney movie. I said what's my favorite Disney movie.
Little Mermaid.
Exactly. He's Prince Eric.
He's
He's the voice. So I already had a crush on Greg Brady watching it as a
so
kid.
you were subliminally
from Brady Bunch. But I didn't know because I had clearly saw Little Mermaid first, and I love Prince Eric. I was like so all about Prince Eric, and I had no idea that actor, Christopher Daniel Barnes, he voiced Prince Eric on Little Mermaid, and guess who he also voiced? Somebody else who I had a big ass crush on.
Ooh.
Peter Parker.
Ooh.
for the 90s Spider-Man series. Whatever, that was a good fucking show.
No, wasn't he really allowed to punch anybody?
Yes, he was.
Bullshit.
In the 90s Spider-Man.
You want to bet?
He was throwing trucks at motherfuckers.
Was not allowed to punch. He does not punch a single person in that show.
You know what? Maybe. He
Nope.
does like a web kick in the something.
He's not allowed to punch him. He does not punch a single person in that
Wait
show.
a minute, but you like the X-Men one?
They punch. They don't punch. He doesn't, because they're always punching in that.
I mean, it makes sense.
They're always punching what in the
Yeah.
X-Men things?
walls.
Sentinels.
Sentinels.
Do you ever realize the Sentinels are a
that's
huge
true.
part
They do.
of
They
the
are,
because they can fight them. Wolverine can claw through them.
he can claw through them.
That's why the
absolutely.
Sentinels were such a big part. of the-
Really?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they did kind of really amp up the Sentinels. I expect to see way more Sentinels in the movies based off just those
No,
cartoons.
because you can kill robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right. I don't.
Not one.
Not
He
one.
he wasn't allowed to punch in that show.
Okay, but he did other stuff to fuck him up.
Yeah, like spew webs.
No, he like literally threw a truck at somebody. He threw a truck at Rhino in one of the episodes.
Yeah, because the kid can't literally throw a truck.
he,
They don't
he
care
threw a
about that.
goddamn what's the thing that goes on top of the sewer? The sewer grate?
A manhole cover?
No, is that what it's called? That round thing?
Yeah.
Them things are fucking heavy.
They're called a manhole
Yeah,
cover.
he threw that at
You use a
some fucking
special
body,
tool
and they
to
just
lift
like
them
went,
up.
Yeah.
They're
He just like picked it up and like threw it at him.
They're heavy, so people don't fuck with them.
Exactly. And when Blade came in, he was fucking people up. And they had Punisher in the show. And they had the X-Men in the show. I thought that show was great because Spider-Man, they were using Spider-Man and X-Men, which because they were the most popular comics at the time. If you would have told me at that time that Avengers was going to be like the #1 Marvel thing, I would have been like, that's a fucking joke. But yeah, they used those shows to introduce a lot of Marvel characters. And that's what I liked about it because Spider-Man kind of introduced me to a lot of Marvel shit that I hadn't known about, you know, including Fantastic Four. And then they did that Fantastic Four show, which, by the way, She-Hulk was in because she was dating the Thing. Yes. We like Miss She-Hulk. Not the show, but I like her character. She's very much Samantha Jones as a superhero, which I'm always here for. And I always say this, I wish they really had just went and got a like female WWE wrestler and just did the green, because that green screen shit like is fucked up. I wish they had just did green makeup.
They look Ferrigno.
Yeah, do a Lou Ferrigno, but
No,
with
they'll
a
never do
female
that.
wrestler.
They're gonna constantly just.
I mean, because they could already did the CGI for her like lifting and doing that kind of shit.
Well, the CGI looks exceptionally terrible in that show, and I haven't watched it, so I can't judge it. But from the clips I've seen, I was like, God damn, this looks terrible.
It's kind of a bummer because it loses a lot of. And we were talking about this with His House. You know, just some of the. It's by Remy Weeks. Remy Weeks. That's one. See, I'm rolling it in, but it while it's a great horror movie that focuses on mostly guilt. I know there's some grief there. There's grief about what they've been through, but for the most part, it's kind of centering around the guilt of the situation. But yeah, for what they were doing, you could have easily just gone with. You didn't need CGI for any of that.
You didn't explain anybody what His House is. You just started talking about it.
Well, I was expecting you to go into it because you've been sitting there mad at me because I ain't talked about horror movies.
Well, that was like the last one we watched.
In.
I thought we'd talk about the other three first.
No, I was gonna have the CGI take an ascent to that and then use it to compare as how great the fucking practical flicks were in The Fly. I was gonna go from there to The Fly.
Well, maybe a little heads up next time.
I feel like normally you jump onto this shit, but I see you was blinded by the lights too. Ain't my nails cute, y'all?
Don't you fucking try to change the subject.
I'm so happy we didn't film last week with them raggedy ass pink nails. I'll post a picture of it on our Instagram, y'all. Them nails was hoey. Yeah. But no, like I should say, let's start with His House, since it is the one that we watched the most recently.
That's interesting. It was good. I don't think it was as amazing as people have been touting it.
Yeah.
Like it's very similar to Midsommar, The Babadook, in the sense it's about grief and loss and guilt.
Yeah.
Because that's what all those movies are about.
That's what a lot of it leans into that.
I mean, it's a different setting, obviously, with characters from different. It didn't stem from it stemmed from clearly war-torn Africa. Did we
Sudan.
Was it the Sudan? Was that the exact country?
It was the Sudan.
Okay.
Yes.
And those two, and it works. Like it gives us a different thing. And like for the big reveal, which I won't spoil, about why they're extra guilty, I thought was amazing.
Yeah, I was like, I almost cried.
Yeah.
That's one thing I will say about this movie had fucking strong ass acting. I was like, my God, for a horror movie, I haven't seen just amazing.
Yeah, it was very strong acting.
Very strong acting.
And a very strong, really directorial debut. Like he's directed, Remy Weeks has directed multiple, but this was like his first real movie.
The scene where and I won't spoil too much, but the scene where they first get to the house and we're just like, ugh. But he goes upstairs and he sits down, Mr. Major, and he sits down on the bed and he starts crying. I was just like, the feels. Because you get that. I mean, yeah, we live in a first world country. We'd probably be crying from that, having to live in something like that. But he's so fucking happy.
Yeah.
Like, he's so fucking happy like we fucking lived. And you can hear the wince in his cry. I mean, he really put everything into it. I'm blanking on the actor's name. Let me look it up real quick. I was going to say, I have it like right at the top. His house. Cast. Sope Dirisu.
Okay.
Oh my God. I was so I mean, it was just perfect acting. It was perfect.
Well,
and you're not used to seeing that with actors who are so young. I'm just like, shit, this guy should get an Oscar for this goddamn role.
They won a bunch of BAFTAs. I don't know if they won for acting, but I don't want a bunch of BAFTAs.
Okay.
It works, and it's set, and it's a very minimalistic. Like it has some like shots, but most of it takes place in that little house and within like a few block radius.
Absolutely. I love the wife too.
Yeah.
I thought she was amazing.
Well, and it works too because it shows the two different aspects of grief.
Exactly.
You've got people that really can't let it go, and they cling to it,
exactly,
and they try to go back to stuff they can't have, and people who are trying to
just
cut
absolutely
it,
run from it.
Yeah, never look back.
Exactly.
I just got to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And I thought the juxtaposition between the wife was fantastic.
Yeah. You know what? And this is one thing else, because we were talking about it. I think with the wife, it is more grief. I think for Mrs. Major, I think it is more dealing with grief. I think with him, though, it's more guilt, which is why he's the one who
Well, that's why he's so trying to run away.
Flesh. It's him. The focus is on him because we all know he's the one who did, what he did.
Well, we don't know that till way later.
Yeah, we don't find that out till
it's a great twist. It's actually a twist. You're like, whoo.
But for her, because of the situation, how she got out.
Yeah.
We saw, and then she has her vision.
Yeah.
Yes, with the ancestors, honey. I loved everything about that. It could have been. It could have been a little tighter in terms of the story.
Those were her ancestors. Those were her friends.
I know, but I wasn't trying to give that away.
Oh. Well, they don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah, true. But yeah, for her, I think it was leaning more on the grief.
It was, yeah.
But she had a little bit of guilt, but it was more of the grief because of, that how she got out.
Yeah.
With him, I think it's more about the guilt. And that's why with her, it's like she doesn't want to let go. Because she's still very sad about what happened to the people that she knew.
Yeah.
And with him, he knows what the fuck he did. So he's feeling guilty. So even though there's the grief of the situation, he's also running away from the guilt
of what he did.
Why they're alive.
Yeah.
So it's a fabulous movie. There's some things I would have probably tightened up.
Well, no, you can definitely tell it's a directorial debut.
You can tell it's a direct, but a very strong directorial debut. I'm very interested to see what else we're going to see coming from Remy.
Yeah, we'll see.
Very interesting.
It's definitely he's definitely leaning towards horror. You can tell
exactly. His miniseries are horror.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it was good. It was a good modern horror. Mm-hmm. A lot different than some of the other horror.
But lean back on the fucking CGI.
Yeah, but that's not just him. That's guilty across the board.
Yeah, it is guilty across the board. But you would have had so much more of a budget to do certain things that you should have been able to do.
Yeah.
For the story that I feel like just would have made it like fleshed out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Instead of dialing back on that CGI budget, especially because for everything that we saw with the horror elements, with the witch and like the ghost or apparition.
Ghosts. We'll just call them ghosts.
Exactly.
But that leads us, you're right, to the next effects. If you look at, so we also watched The Fly.
The Fly.
1986.
1986.
David Cronenberg.
Yes.
And that is a freaking masterclass
Yes.
in practical effects.
100%.
Masterclass.
Master fucking class. I am still creeped out.
I can't believe you've never seen it before.
I am no longer
I can't believe you've
sexually
never
attracted to Jeff Goldblum, and I just did not think that could happen in my lifetime. I have had a crush on this man since Jurassic fucking Park, and now I can't look at Jeff Goldblum the same. What the fuck?
GrundleFly?
No. Why did you say it? I knew it. I knew it when I was doing it. It's just like, he's gonna say GrundleFly. He's gonna say it. And I have to prepare myself because I'm just like, it makes my skin
What
crawl.
I love about The Fly, we talked about this watching it, is the first 45 minutes, it comes off as like a romantic comedy.
And I knew it. I knew it. We was sitting there watching. I was like, this ain't gonna be the 1950s Fly or the fucking episode they made fun of it in the goddamn Simpsons. His ass ain't changed back because this is starting out way too cute. They were such a cute couple. They were so romantic and everything. It's like, this shit is not gonna end well. I'm already uncomfortable, you know?
And it doesn't.
I've been freaking out about flies like for the last 2 weeks.
But
I see them, I get scared. Like, get away
in
from
The
these
Fly,
flies.
it's funny because we actually, this was a body horror.
Yes.
And it was. And it kind of really does have to deal with basically disease.
Yes.
Like just
100%,
watching somebody
100%.
just slowly.
Absolutely.
A lot of people consider it an allegory for AIDS, especially at the time, which was big.
Yes, it very, because it's the 80s and it does very, and also, not for nothing, just to make it just a little bit political. This is very much a political history film episode, oddly enough. But there's something about, how we also used to cast in terms of representation. You would always show the man of color who, was just kind of like hypersexualized, blah, 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 kind of going for and what's very interesting about this, and Jeff Goldblum used to get those roles. There's a lot of black men who used to get those roles. We're kind of familiar with that was the issue of presentation at the time back then. But what's interesting about The Fly is, no, he's the smart, nice, romantic one, and it's her ex-boyfriend who's the boss, who's the creepy, and they kind of lean in a little bit on that. There's some Me Too shit that came up back then.
Yeah.
And those questions start being raised, like how he's clearly crossing the line. He's clearly the fucking pervert, but here's Jeff Goldblum. He's the man of color, and he's smart, and he's educated, and he's like about to do some revolutionary shit. But of course, his advancements, it's ultimately what ends up being his demise. Very, very, very interesting, very telling story, very, very relevant to society. I know. Cronenberg said he wasn't supposed to.
It was just disease in general.
It was just.
It wasn't.
In
He didn't
general.
have AIDS in his mind when he did it, but it was mostly like he actually thought cancer.
Okay.
About cancer, you slowly start and you slowly, literally. Because if you ever seen someone die from cancer, it eats you alive from the inside.
Also, a lot of and that's what's interesting to say too, because a lot of cancer that we have today is caused by a lot of our technological advancements. The people who work on those electric poles and shit, so we can all have our power and shit. They have high rates of fucking cancer.
But yeah, it's
it's
just a very well done movie. And the acting is fantastic.
Yeah.
And another movie that doesn't have a big setting. It's kind of confined to another one.
Very, very confined. Very confined.
Like
the party space one time.
Yeah, he gets out of the house a little bit to a bar or something.
Exactly.
But you see her, but the majority is pretty much confined to his apartment.
Yeah. Which is kind of sweet.
Yeah, it is.
I did like that kind of setup he had.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I don't normally like them downtown buildings shit, but that shit was really, really cool where you can just have your home and then just, go do what you do. But yeah, it was, I like the changes that they make from the one in the 50s. Or from the ones making fun of it.
Yeah.
And I like the elements of horror that they put in it. I like how it definitely reflects on society at the time. Like, I 100% could see being AIDS because it was the time, or HIV.
I mean, it
but
works.
Now that you mentioned cancer, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, just so many technological advancements that we had. They used to have girls brushing their teeth with fucking radium.
Well, yeah, I mean, the matchsticks. Yeah, technology killed so many people.
Many
people were hating the Curies. Just look at the Curie stuff.
Exactly.
To this day, you still can't touch the Curie's just equipment because it's so radioactive.
Exactly.
And they were doing it and stuff like us. Like, all right, let's go work with radiation.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one thing we don't talk about. And interesting enough, Jeff Goldblum, who brings it up in Jurassic Park, we're so preoccupied with whether or not we didn't stop to think of whether or not we should.
I will throw this out there real fast. He wants it to make a way to travel fast because it's people.
Yes,
He didn't need it to travel people.
He
If you could
wasn't trying to fusion.
but I'm just saying. But if you had an object, you could literally just teleport just these chairs.
Yeah.
I was like, that's an amazing invention.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
need to transport people.
Exactly.
You even
That society push to always always go further, and we don't stop to think, okay, like, what are the ramifications of this? What could this possibly lead to? And yeah, we were talking about this. Like, I should say, first of all, even if it could do fucking people, my ass ain't getting.
Well, there's always a theory about teleportation with people.
Exactly.
That when you come out the other side, it's not you.
It's not you.
It's a facsimile of you.
Exactly.
It's built. It's got your memories, but you died.
Because what did I say? I wasn't using it for. I said, I'm not stepping in that shit. I should say, I don't know what it is, but it clearly gonna cause some kind of cancer. Yeah. I said that when we were watching it. I didn't think about it, but like, yeah, absolutely. That could have been a revolutionary thing to like handle equipment.
Yeah, just move large equipment, just bang bang.
Exactly, groceries.
Yeah, so really, at the end of the day, he didn't need to go that step further.
You didn't need to go that step further.
But he does.
It's such an interesting perspective to take, considering where we are at now with technology and everything that's happened with the internet, and just showing just how irresponsibly we use stuff.
But to be fair though, when he does it, what's interesting though is he doesn't just do it out of pride or hubris. He's at his lowest point when he decides to make the Trump.
He does.
He's drunk.
Yeah, he is.
He's angry. He thinks she's using him and that she's going to go back and fuck her boss.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting play. I'm going to do it. I'll show her.
Yeah,
I'll show her.
Exactly, because that's usually the motivation for some shit.
I'm going to show her. I'll show how great I am.
The push into clearly not thinking clearly as an educated scientist who came up with this.
Yeah,
you know, our hubris. It gets in our way sometimes.
It's a great movie, and just the effects at the end, especially during during every stage of his transformation.
Yeah,
and the iconic scene always though.
Yeah,
it to me isn't even just when the transformation of the fly. It's when he fucking arm wrestles that guy. And you're like, Jesus
I know.
You're just like, that looks so gross because he's practical.
It was so gross.
Oh.
And you know what I should say what I loved about it, because you know me, like. Same thing. I'm sitting up there watching Midsommar, and I'm just like, where are the demons? You know me. I love a good possession movie. I like some haunting, scary shit. What I loved about this film is, I had kind of really gotten over my fear of like bugs and creepy crawlers, and like I said, for the last couple of weeks, I've just been like, "Oh, you fly, get away from me." Like, I'm not gonna kill you, but at the same time, I'm just like, no, this is gross. Like, it gives you that creepy crawly effect. Like watching his transmission. You know what's interesting?
Transformation.
His transformation into the fly, and it just gets grosser and grosser every time. I think, as much as I liked, and we talked about this for The Outsiders, or for The Outsider, and how it started so very strong, but kind of dwindled. I think one of the issues that I kind of had with the show is I would have liked to seen the creature's transformation in going into things, especially because we would always get these detailed descriptions of how creepy it was, how horrible, the soulless kind of eyes.
Yeah.
With the fly, every single step.
Yeah, you saw it started off like
every single step.
The little rash, and then the flakiness of the skin. Yeah, it works. The toenails, the nails falling off.
Exactly. I mean... me like, is that a penis?
It was a penis in his medicine cabinet.
It was a penis on his. I was like, what the fuck? It was, and that's the thing. It was scary. It was creepy. It was thrilling. Well, when I said to say the hospital scene, I was like, oh. Fuck.
Well, he also goes through like the stages of grief too.
100%.
He does the denial. Yeah. The anger.
Yeah.
And
the last shit he tells her before the hospital scene. That shit was very powerful to me. And also, like, The Fly was just an all-around great horror movie because it got you on every single level. There were scares, there were chills, there were cringe, there was discomfort. There was just like, oh my God, this shit is just like sad and scary.
So The Fly came out in 1986. Mm-hmm. And we only have time for one more, which is fine. We'll save the the 2003 movie we watched for the later episode.
I hadn't planned on talking about that at all anyway.
Because after Horror Nights, I'll explain why we'll do it after Horror Nights.
Yeah, we'll do it after Horror Nights.
Because we're going to Horror Nights in 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
but
I should say I hadn't planned on talking about that one. I was going to save that one for when we were done with American Horror Story Freak Show because I wanted to compare.
Okay, that's good. We'll do that. We'll do that.
Yeah, but we are going to go into Hitcher after this.
That's what's 1986. The Hitcher came out in 1986.
Oh, so they both came out
same year. Yeah.
God damn, the 80s was just kicking ass.
Well, the Hitcher's an interesting one because it's critically panned and not really a commercial success at all.
You know what? You sold it to me wrong. You sold it to me wrong because you were like, well, you know, it's because we were sitting up there trying to figure out a horror movie. Roger's like, I want to watch a possession movie, blah, blah, blah. I want to watch that, blah, blah, blah. You were like, oh, well, you know, the Hitcher is really not like any kind of like metaphysical or anything.
Yeah, I didn't want to.
That guy is totally Satan.
I didn't want to spoil it.
You liar.
I want to ground in reality. Oh,
you
it's a
lie.
But it's
grounded. You know, if you tell me grounded in reality, look, I'm a trans woman of color. I get enough horror in reality.
No, but I feel like
I don't need grounded in reality.
I feel like if I spoil it, which we've done to these nice people, watch.
They know this shit full of spoilers. They know what
they do. I
came
don't
to talk about.
But so if I tell you that, you won't be like, oh, you'll know. But you start like, what the fuck is this?
Oh my God.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer,
exactly.
C. Thomas Howell, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. They bring the house in that movie.
Yes, they did. Not Ness. Oh my God.
Rutger Hauer is such a terrifying villain in The Hitcher.
He's so fucking terrifying.
He's never talked about John Ryder. Has not talked in like the horror movie greats, not with Freddy or Jason.
I'm surprised there weren't any sequels.
There is.
There is.
It's terrible.
They're bad. But is it still with him?
I don't even know. I never saw it.
And see, that's the problem. Because there was something about it. And I saw, as we were watching this movie, I was like, this shit is very creepy and it's very cringe, but I'm feeling it because he's very attractive. There's something about that, like, remember, and just this is on a like sadder note, but the situation with Rolling Stones doing the issue, they put one of the bombers on the thing, and everybody was talking about how attractive they are.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, yes, evil has a fucking pretty face. And that's what makes it so inviting and welcoming. Well, he sees this guy. He's like, oh yeah, this guy doesn't look like he's gonna be that threatening. And it's raining. I'll be a helpful person. And it plays into that. He thinks he's gonna be safe and comfortable because the guy's a handsome guy. Which is also interesting because as the movie goes on, he starts looking more darker and scarier and like almost more like demonic. And you're just like, what the fuck is this guy up to? You know? I mean, it was scary at every turn. We were talking about it. One of the reasons why we like Whiplash is because the villain just never lets up.
No.
It is a constant mind fuck every time.
Well, yeah, The Hitcher, it's such a bizarre because it's a road movie.
Yeah.
In every step of the way. And it's literally the thing with the villain is literally one step ahead of you every time.
Every fucking time. And it's very much a Western horror.
You kind of. It's yeah. And what's creepy is like, there's never a point where you feel safe. Even when it lures you down, you're like, they did it. Nope, motherfucker's still there.
Every time, yeah. Yeah, I thought at some point in the movie, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. He's just going to go along with it because he knows if he does it with somebody else, like, he going to get him. No. He's trying to fuck him over at every single time. And that guy was the devil.
I mean, you could make a case that, he's the
100% the devil.
Or the fact that you might make a case that C. Thomas Howell's character dies in the beginning of the film. Mm-hmm. Because he falls asleep at the wheel, and remember, he swerves in a trap, and the truck, and whoa!
And now he's in hell.
Yeah,
yeah, because he just continues to be fucked with.
But yeah, because he continues to be fucked with.
There's never an opportunity of like, okay, I'm.
Or you can just look at it like the devil went down to Georgia, where this is literally just the fucking devil just hanging out.
And that's really what I was thinking. I was like, no, this is some devil went down to Georgia.
Well,
shit.
also
the way he was appearing, I should say the finger.
Well, also too, it's interesting.
I'm not spoiling anything, but the finger.
I'll spoil this. I will spoil the finger, but at the same time, the juxtaposition between Ryder and Halsey, Jim Halsey and John Ryder, is that they start to mirror each other. Like they start to blend more and more.
It's almost
they grow into each other. Because not only that, like the way
scene with the cop at the end.
The scene with the cop at the end, or the scene when he gets into bed with Nash.
Yeah.
The way Ryder gets into bed with Nash is really kind of like how Halsey, he doesn't just get and grab her.
Exactly.
He like slowly gets in.
Yes, 100%. It's like almost like they're merging. I'm just like, is he fucking grooming him into this fucking life?
It's almost like
almost like he is. And you kind of wonder like, okay, maybe he is the devil, but maybe somebody else set him up this same
But also we remember, we leave with him literally standing against a cop car smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for him to go. So how's he going to get back to town? He's going to hitchhike back. Yeah. He's going to hitch back.
He's going to hitch back.
So does he become him?
Exactly.
That's the thing. You don't know.
Does he become him and frame somebody else like they framed him? Oh, shit.
Well, what's funny
that was a big ass. Sorry.
That doesn't matter. The movie came out in 1986.
That's true. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, America. Actually, well, no. That's not too much of a. It's not too much of a. Yeah, it's a big ass spoiler.
Not really, but it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. And there's so much more to it than just like that little part. But yet there is a part where he does kind of get slightly framed, but it's not letting go too much.
It just works. The whole movie, and it got shit on. Like Roger Ebert is like, oh, it's such a gory. It's not even that gory of a movie.
It's not.
Like they talk about like.
I mean, the gore is definitely there, but it's not like a fucking Hostel.
No, it's not. Yeah,
no,
and there's way more gory movies at that time.
I love the elements of how they do handle the ambiguity of the metaphysics. Because I told you it's very much a subtle like he's the devil story. He's fucking with them the entire time. Also,
I loved the portrayal of all the cops in the movie.
Yes,
I love the cops.
Yes,
because
you
got the one who's like, this guy's not the killer. This fucking kid didn't do it. You got the one guy who's so mad at his friend. Oh, the scene where he's like,
my friend's fucking died.
He's like, you spit on my hand. You wipe my hand off.
Wipe my hand off. And the guy's like, no, don't do it. Yeah. He's like, oh shit, wipe off my hand. Yeah, and his other cop, like he's just begging him for an excuse. Yeah. To like just gun him down right then and there. Yeah. Oh my God, the tension. Yeah. You know what? This would be one I would show in a screenwriting class because you know how Jeff Phillips was all about like, let's build the fucking tension. Yeah. The scenes need the tension. This movie is tension.
Yeah, it never stops.
It never stops.
He gets in the car and it slowly starts building. It just keeps, and what's scary is you never feel safe. Like, because a classic problem I have with a lot of modern horror movies is they fall like The Conjuring. I think kind of it's daytime. Fine. Night. Whoa. Daytime.
Exactly.
Whoa. This one just felt like it was always there.
It slowly builds and it gets worse and worse and worse all the way up to the end. His ass is going to jail or becoming,
his life is over.
His life is over. That's the only two options.
His life is over.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great movie. It's one of my favorites, and no one's really ever seen it.
It went down to Georgia.
Actually, you know where I got a lot of my horror movies from? Bravo did this thing called I think the 100 or the 101 scariest movie moments.
Oh, back when Bravo really focused on movie shit.
And I remember watching it. I was sick as a dog. So I watched it. It took hours to watch the whole thing. And I was like, I've never seen half these movies. That's where I discovered Black Christmas, The Hitcher, The Fly.
Okay, I did not know that.
Fun fact. Now I brought it up. Your Shirt is considered the #1 scariest movie of all time.
Yes, I know.
Jaws.
Yes, I know.
I guess
very curious, but yeah.
But I guess not, because at the same time, my uncle, who used to live at the beach, has not stepped foot in the water since he saw Jaws.
You know what? I will say, we were talking about irrational fears at the bar a couple of weeks ago, and they were asking me about mine, and I was like, you know what? I am still like horribly terrified that there's going to be a shark in a swimming pool if I go past 8 feet. Like if I'm in a 12 feet pool, I'm like, there's a shark down there. It's going to get me. Well, and that's the thing about Jaws is Jaws very much lingers with you because unlike so many other horror situations, you hear a spook at night or something like that. Like you're like, hey, maybe it goes, but like, look, if you stay in here, you better pay some rent or something. Whereas a shark attack it doesn't happen nearly as often as you would think, but it is still something that can potentially happen. And your brain it lives with you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the terror of Jaws, even if it's not the scariest movie ever, it does live with you. You see it like shit, Deep Blue Sea, shit like that. It's the reason why people are still like horribly afraid of sharks. Even if they kill less people a year than dogs.
You've never seen Alligator, have you?
No, I haven't seen Alligator, but I'll be about my Lake Placid.
Alligator was long before Lake Placid. Alligator has an interesting scene where there's kids like getting bullied at a party and they push them into the pool. The fucking alligator's in the pool and eats the kid.
Now, see, that could actually happen down in Florida.
Well, it was in New York. Yeah. I think Alligator took place in New York. But that movie got in trouble. That movie got in trouble because that little kid got fucking ate on screen. And you weren't supposed. Even today, we kind of have a taboo of kids getting killed on screen.
Yes, we do.
The kids can die.
Yeah.
Like, what was a funny thing? What was a prime example? What was that movie with Ready or Not?
Yeah.
Remember when everyone was exploding at the end?
Mm-hmm.
And the gooey, spoiler alert, the kids run out the room and they explode off screen.
Yeah.
We don't show like showing little kids dying. It's the thing we have.
Well, and that's what's interesting. We don't like showing little kids die, but we have no problem not passing any kind of legislation so that they actually don't die. That's what's weird about me. Like, America is so, like, weird in how we handle things, you know, like we don't want to see certain things visually, but then we're like totally fine with just showing like all this kind of violence like to adults and stuff. But yeah, kids and dogs we won't show, but then with like, because they're like worried about audience response, but then when it comes to like real life stuff, we do nothing but tots and pears.
Yeah. Tots and pears?
Tots and pears.
Tots and pears.
Tots and pears. All of gay Facebook will understand what I meant by that.
I just thought you fucked up.
Not to take it to a dark place, but that is very much a horrific situation.
Well, that will bring us back. I think that's a perfect wrapping point because we've hit our time.
We have.
In his house, she says the one line, "I'm not afraid of anything that goes bump in the night.
I'm not afraid of anything.
I've seen what men can do." And I was like, fuck, that is fucked up.
I done seen it.
Which brings us to our next point. And I'm glad we actually didn't get to that last movie we did because it ties a lot into horror nights.
Yes, 100%. And that's the thing. And this is why I wanted to start you on Freak Show, because we did start Asylum and you weren't feeling it.
I hated Asylum.
And I'm still questioning why people think it's the best one.
If people think
best one. But yeah.
But people think it's the best one. I was like, this is shot like shit. It's acted like shit.
It is.
Looks
It's shot like shit. Like, I couldn't make it past the 3rd episode. I was like, I'm just not interested. Murder House is so good. Coven is the best.
Freak Show, but I like
Apocalypse is good, but Freak Show and Hotel are really good. I think you enjoy both Freak Show and Hotel.
I'll check them out.
Especially Hotel, because Hotel takes place in good old 1930s LA.
Yep.
Kind of like the old, we always talk about how gothic old 1920s to pretty much to the 60s LA was. Just having that kind of gothic feel with the old buildings, a lot of the murders that went on. We never talk about LA mob culture, you know, kind of like the underbelly of that. And it does kind of get into that a little bit. It's set in the 80s, but it dials back to that old LA shit.
Excuse me.
But I knew you would love Freak Show, and I wanted to get into that because we watched House of a Thousand Corpses.
Spoiler!
I was like, they know it's coming. Which, by the way, I absolutely enjoy.
Well, we'll get to that. You don't have to enjoy it. You can tell me what you enjoy it.
Well, no.
Next
I was
time.
going to say yes. We'll get to that next time. But no, I love that you told me that about the Bravo. I love that you told me about that list because we were talking the other. That's how I got into. I did the one that AFI had for comedy. And that's why I was, and I told you some of those comedies, I was like, we were talking about Tootsie and stuff like that. And I had waited so long to watch When Harry Met Sally because it was like highly ranked.
Yeah.
It was like at like number 1. And I was like, some of these other ones on the list really ain't kind of working for me.
Yeah.
And like Coming to America is like way down. So I'm just like, I don't know who made this list. But then I actually watched When Harry Met Sally over the pandemic. I was like, this is the fucking best comedy ever. But yeah, like I would run through AFI's greatest, their comedies. I never did horror because remember at that time I really wasn't that big into horror.
I always watch horror. Thanks, Tara.
Exactly. We went through a stalemate of horror for a while. You know,
but horror always does this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Horror, because every genre does that.
The Grudge in the Ring is some boring shit.
Every genre does that.
Exactly.
But we'll get into
it. Probably the best one to come out of the 2000s for that time for me is still Freddy vs. Jason.
Okay.
And Bride of Chucky.
Okay.
That's 2000, right?
Bride of Chucky was 99, I believe.
Was it 99?
Yeah,
Did it not make it into the millennium?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the 90s has some decent horrors, but like I'm so glad what you've been showing me for stuff with 80s horror and kind of going back.
Bride of Chucky was 98. I remember
it was
real fast.
98.
Bride of Chucky was 98 because Chucky came on WCW Wrestling and had an interview with Rick Steiner to promote the movie. And I remember that because the Ultimate Warrior just came back, and Ultimate Warrior came back in 98. That's our little wrestling tidbit.
Yes.
And on that note,
I was going to say, and I'm going to do on that note, because we only have one more week for season 2 of the Chucky series. And I know I'm super excited. I know you're very excited.
Yeah.
A lot of people have not seen this series.
I know because it's hard to see. It's on Sci-Fi and USA.
No, it's not because it's hard to see. It's because there were so many strings of bad Chucky movies.
Yeah.
The one in the house was just decent. The
Curse.
one in the asylum was stupid.
Yeah. I didn't.
You know, it was dumb. There hasn't really been a very strong Chucky movie since Bride of Chucky, which is why I still like to tout it. But this is a very good series. They have such great elements of horror. What I love about it in terms of, speaking about diversity earlier, it's handled perfectly. I love the situation.
Don't spoil it.
I should say, I'm not gonna spoil it, but how they handle, the situations with the kids and everything.
You like the way they handle Jake's situation?
No, not just Jake's situation. The way they handle all of their situations. And the mom is the detective. Yes, honey, and a good mom. It's a great show. It has a lot of good elements of horror. It's written well. It's casted well. I love what they did with they casted all the youth very, very well. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up on that. Wrapping it up on Chucky. We getting into Halloween season.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Get ready.
Well, we'll be back in a couple weeks, having been to Horror Nights, and we will
absolutely. We'll bring Sam in for that one, for like the Halloween. This is the Halloween pregame.
Well, hopefully we can get him in. We'll see.
That part.
His schedule's so busy.
He done seen House of a Thousand Corpses. I don't know if he's seen Freak Show, but I really would like to focus on kind of like the juxtaposition and just kind of focus on that kind of like fun, comedic, but like still like very scary horror.
Okay.
Well,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, anyways, I'm Ryan O.
And I'm Bobby Z.
This is Watch Hard.
This is Watch the Hard, child. All the hard watching.